Hello, this is Milksy, and I'm going to be showing you, in my opinion, the top 5 Tanorians in Tales of Tanorio. These Tanorians that I'll be covering will cover stories, raids, and PvP for you, being Tanorians that fit well into all 3 of these roles, making them very powerful for your team. I'll also be covering the earliest point you can get these Tanorians in the game. Do note that this was created in the current patch of Tales of Tanorio, where there are only 2 medals and the game has just released. This list may not show you the best options for you if you are looking in the future. With that being said, let's hop right into the list with number 5. Number 5 on this list is Idal. Idal has high attack, above average speed, and average bulk. It doesn't sound too special on paper, sounds pretty average, but it's typing that pushes Idal on this list. The fire air typing gives it an immunity to earth, a quad resistance to plant and bug, with normal resistances to fire, fairy, metal, and fighting. In return, it only has 1 weakness to water and 2 quad weaknesses to gem and cosmic. When this is paired with its strong stab options and coil to boost your attack, this Tanorian is a monster in both raids, story, and in the future, PvP. The only reason it is not higher on this list is due to it being a starter Tanorian, making it limited to those who did not pick it as their starter, being only available via incenses by other players that are only obtainable via ROBLOX or rare raid drops. Hopefully this Tanorian becomes more accessible in the future for players who did not pick it, but currently this is what we have to deal with. Despite these flaws, it is still deserving of the number 5 spot on this list. Now on to number 4. Number 4 on the list is Scrachnid. Scrachnid's base stats aren't amazing per se, but they're nothing to scoff at. The ability that it has pushes it onto the list. Scrachnid's ability Terrifying lowers the opponent's range defense by 1 stage on swap-in, allowing its amazing base 110 range attack prey on weaker range defensive Tanorians, being able to lower them when it swaps in and threaten massive damage. They are forced to either swap out or take the hit, most likely leading to a KO or a massive chunk. Scrachnid is amazing for wall breaking with this reason. It has good range attacks like Pollen Burst, and it loves Vanishing Axe support. It is findable as a Spooter in Whispering Woods. It's also actually findable as a Scrachnid, however it is a very rare encounter, and from my knowledge the encounter is level 40. It's more meant to be an Easter egg than anything, so I'd recommend just getting a Spooter. The only thing holding it back from a higher spot is its typing, with 5 common weaknesses and overall not resistances that make up for it, and its mediocre speed stat. It's an amazing stall breaker, I can see it doing well in PvP, and it will breeze through the story for you. Now on to number 3 of the list. Number 3 of the list is Copernica. Copernica's pre-evolution Cornica is a rare spawn at Fable Falls, only findable at nighttime. Copernica has a fair range attack stat, fair speed, and fair bulk, making it a very balanced base stat total. However, its move pool is amazing for it. Blaze Blast, Shooting Stars, Night Beam as powerful attacks, and Vanishing Act as support. Copernica is the exclusive Tanorian with Vanishing Act, meaning it is one of, if not the only Tanorian currently with a pivot option in the game. Copernica's typing is a fun one to play with. You may have a lot of weaknesses, but a ton of resistances you just can't ignore. Grass, fire, electric, air, bug, ice, fairy, metal, those are so many weaknesses you can't just ignore, giving you tons of swap-in opportunities on other Tanorians. You can run a bulkier Copernica or an offensive one, if the stats allow for both. Overall, Copernica is an amazing Tanorian for the story and in future PvP, and is deserving of the number 3 spot on this list. Now on to number 2. Number 2, Fordrake. Fordrake has it all. Amazing stats, amazing typing, 2 weaknesses, 9 resistances, and 1 immunity is absolutely absurd. Fordrake is a force to be reckoned with. Its overpower move is almost always 90 base power due to its high base attack. Steel Strike, Dragon's Fury, and Shadow Slash are amazing moves. Fordrake will always chunk the opponent or just KO it outright. It can swap in for free a ton because of its good bulk and can outspeed a fair amount of threats. This thing is great in raids, it's great in story, and will be great in PvP. Its strength is matched with its rarity, being only a 1% encounter in the Malachite Mine's depths. And that is why I believe Fordrake is more than worthy of the number 2 spot on this list. So you might be thinking, after talking about Fordrake, man, what could be better than that? But before we answer that question, we have to talk about our honorable mentions for this list. Gardamus is great, but is outclassed by Ignidale as a starter, and again, as it is a starter, couldn't make it on the list if Ignidale was barely on it for that reason. Lumisaur hits extremely hard with its base 125 range attack stat, and is pretty fast with base 90 speed. It has good attacks, but its bulk is way too low to reach the list, being base 35 defense and I believe base 40 range defense. It can be found in Malachite Mines. Dandelion has great stats, but doesn't really have the typing nor the moves to currently take advantage of its stats. It is a route rare as a Kitweed on Route 2, however Kitweed is way more common on Route 4. Dinostagon is great for catching, can be good for raids, but it isn't good at much else, and probably won't be found much in PvP. It can be found as a Stargiri in Route 4. Paragrievous is great offensively, but doesn't get anything outside of stab to use, and also has a lot of weaknesses. It is findable as an Icespire on many routes, including Route 1 and Route 2. Now, it's time for what you've been waiting for, number 1 of the list. And number 1 of the list goes to Dual Ram. Dual Ram is the best Tanorian in Tales of Tanorio. At first glance, Dual Ram has nothing special about it. It has good defense while the rest of the stats are okay. It's a common Tanorian too. So what makes it so special? It's the ability. The ability Double Hit allows it to hit twice with all its move. Let me make this clear. Both hits are full power attack, doing 100% of the damage they are meant to do. This turns its base 90 attack into effectively base 180 and giving it a 2 times crit rate. It can break through potential focus sashes if the game decides to add a focus sash item. Dualram's fairy fighting typing does great offensively, hitting metal, gem, ice, dark, normal, dragon, and fighting for stabbed SE damage. It also has great coverage in heavy stomp and titanic tackle. You might think, oh, this is strong, they must have lined it for the late game. But no, it's findable in Artsworth Outskirts as a max move. You can get one of these before Route 3 of the game. Dualram is also the signature user of Mystical Rush, a 100 base power stab fairy move that does recoil. Now imagine that hitting you twice. It also has Stab Head Slam in order to increase its mediocre speed. Dualram turns this game's story into a joke. It can sweep through teams, it's great for raids, and is overall, in my opinion, the best Tanorian in Tales of Tanorio. And that's my list. If you believe differently, think I either overestimated one of the Tanorians on this list, or that I missed the Tanorian that's actually secretly overpowered, let me know in the comments. Feel free to argue, feel free to do whatever, I don't really care. But that's all. See you, and have a good rest of your day.